Welcome to Free Discourse Radio. This is Frank Davey. So today there's been another attack in London, United Kingdom. This comes, barely, not even a couple weeks after the attack in Manchester in the north. And tomorrow is, there's supposed to be a benefit concert for the victims of Manchester, where a lot of artists will be playing there, Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, etc., etc. I just want to give my thoughts on everything now that there's been another attack. I believe the number is, I might be wrong about this, but I think there's like 6 people died, and they were obviously more injured. And this happened when somebody drove onto the sidewalk, running people over. Another one of those attacks, and there were apparently shots fired. Details are still coming out at this moment, but the point of this video is I want to reflect more on issues like the Migrant Crisis and other issues that will not be discussed in wake of these both of these attacks. I have no problem with people going out and praying and doing memorials and doing all these things for the victims, but I have to ask the question: aren't you a little sick of seeing them? Aren't you a little sick of seeing the memorials, seeing the flowers going up on fences and on sides of roads or wherever people are choosing to do memorials? Aren't you a little sick of seeing them? Aren't you sick of seeing the victims' faces plastered across these memorials? Aren't you sick of seeing people with their limbs off and having to go to the hospital and their lives affected for the rest of their life? I can tell you right now that I am, and I'm not alone, of course. And in order to tackle this problem, we have to have a discussion about what exactly we need to do in order to curb this, in order to stop this. Now, I'm going to give my thoughts here again. Everyone here on the YouTube community is starting to sound like a broken record because we're continuing to tell people who refuse to listen, based on fears of Islamophobia, that there is a problem in Europe right now. The problem is that the European Union allowed many people from the Third World and the Middle East and Africa included, to come up through the borders over the seas and settle in countries that allow social welfare services like Germany, Sweden, United Kingdom, and France. So they allow millions of people to come through, to flood through the borders, and a few things happen in over the course of the years. This has been happening. Like immigration has been. They've been accepting migrants for a couple decades now, but the bulk of the problems are happening now, whether it's with second generation migrants or with people who are coming in the recent migrant crisis in Syria and in North Africa. And what accompanied this was a lack of assimilation. We can see this from all the ghettos popping up in various cities across Europe, where they are practically no-go zones now. Muslim gangs are ruling the streets, and this is due to a lack of assimilation, a lack of desire of assimilation on the part of their communities, and also the clash of values and clash of ideas that's occurring between the two cultures. This is something that needs to be considered more when we're talking about assimilation and humanitarian causes. The left seems to be completely numb to what is happening to girls and women in these countries who are being harassed. I'll give you a lighter example, and then I'll go to the heavier example. Lighter example: two women in France strapped a camera onto themselves, hidden camera, and they went into a Muslim neighborhood where there was a bar. And so they go in, and there's all men inside the bar, and they're told that they're not supposed to be there, and that this is all men in the bar. There shouldn't be women around. And they present the idea. It's like, well, what if I wanted to go out and have a drink with my dad or my cousin or whoever my male counterpart would be? And their answer is, my cousin stays at home, who's a woman. And my cousin who's a woman stays alone. That was the Muslim gentleman's response to her. And she, and then he continued to say that we do things here like we do in our old country. Now, that is a lighter example of what's going on. And before I get to the heavier example, my thoughts on that would be that's not it's plain unacceptable. We shouldn't just allow people to come to the country, come to the West, which is a free country where Sharia law and other restrictive rules that exist in Islam are not allowed, because it would be in violation of people's human rights who are living in that country. The West has stood up for those values for hundreds of years now. So, so basically they basically are not necessarily kicked out. I don't want to say that, but if you're a woman in a situation where there are a bunch of men coming to you and saying you need to get out, this is against what we do. When our women stay at home, that's basically what he said to her, was that my cousin stays at home. She doesn't come out and go to the bar with me, So a heavier example I want to get to now is ding ding, you guessed it, the migrant rapes that are occurring, the massive rapes that are occurring on young girls, and the harassment that's happening. It's a big clash of cultures and clash of ideas and values and principles. The reality of the fact is, and not all Muslims are bad. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you that. Yeah, I'm not saying that they're all bad. I'm trying to help put out the message that Tommy Robinson and other people have been trying to put out, who are on the ground looking at this and videotaping it, and trying to get people to understand that many native citizens in Britain, and this can be said for the other nations that I've talked about. They've basically made it unsafe for them, and a lot of girls are getting taken advantage of. They're being trafficked. They're being groomed by gangs. That's the worst part. Is the organized crime, the organized grooming that's happening by Muslim men who are over the age of 18, and in a lot of cases over the age of 25 and 30. So we have full-grown adults that are taking in girls that are more vulnerable in British society, whether they're white or they're Muslim girls or whoever. Honestly, the most of it is being affected on white British girls or non-Muslim, I should say, because of that they view people outside the religion as basically infidels, and they are trafficking these girls because they believe that they are property and that they can, because they are non-Muslims. Now, I don't know why this is such a problem for people to even consider on the left right now, and it's abysmal to me, because like they claim to champion women's rights, they claim to champion gay people's rights, yet they support an ideology that is extremely anti-gay. First of all, gay marriage is not allowed at best in some of these nations. In some of these nations, you get harassed for being gay, but in worst case scenario, you get killed or stoned to death, and even in some parts. And basically, what the left is having trouble coming to terms that there is a clash of ideas happening, and that we need to be more honest. Honestly, we have we have to be more honest about this. To ourselves and to the community. My concern is to protect not only just my concern isn't just to protect white people and people who are non-Muslim. Like, come on, I said in one of my other videos that I'm actually very concerned as well about the Muslim community that had assimilated and had left their previous nations legally and came to wanting to come to a place where they could practice religious freedom and without the oppression of the imams and the religious code and laws that exist in other Middle Eastern and African nations where Islam is the dominant ideology. They came here to get away from that, and now the people that they came here to get away from are following them to those countries. And if you don't think that they're going to change the rules in those communities, you have to be insane. And no one wants to even consider this, like, based on Islamophobia. One word is crippling us from being able to actually talk comprehensively about this. We should know, we should understand that there is a religious aspect to all of this, and it's on video. There are people within the Muslim community themselves, particularly Sikhs. There's one gentleman, I forget his name, but he's in Australia, has come out and commented about how because Australia has similar issues with this, and he's coming out and saying, like, yeah, they're literally preaching, they're selling Al Qaeda flags in their gift shops. You could just go and buy. He literally went and bought it and brought it onto the interview on the Australian media, and there are many people echoing his position. There's another Sikh man that in Britain that has his own YouTube page that he goes on and explains that we need to he comes out, he's like I feel like and he's not like blaming himself or anything like that. He's just saying like we need, like, this is horrible what's happening to these girls and to these communities, and how the police are basically crippled to even stop them. There are many people, and this is not, I have no wish to point at the religion and anyone who's with it and guilt trip them and say, oh yeah, you should be on our side. No, I want to come together as human beings and approach the radical ideas of a single ideology that not all people in the ideology follow, but that some unfortunately do, and pervert their values to mean something more extreme. And this is not a small thing. It's not the vast majority of Muslims are good people, of course, but you cannot say the same about when you compare governments and that where the ideology is, the ruling ideology is Islamic. Many of those governments are authoritarian and are Sharia based, and even in some cases extremist based. So we're crippled. We can't talk about this. We're continuing just to have memorials. We're continuing to go on as if there isn't a religious-based problem here to discuss. The Manchester bomber was not just somebody that maybe he was a lone wolf. I don't know if they have had any more updates on whether or not he was working for a network or if he was a lone wolf. I don't think it matters. Personally, he's still taking the ideas of Islam, using them to justify an attack, and basically those doctrines are being echoed throughout the communities. And there's even an instance where people went into people are basically sorry, I lost my train of thought. Had a text come in, and I made the mistake of looking at it. But yeah, we're continuing having to watch these memorials happen. People are dying, and the single word of like, yeah, we need to do something about the problem of the Islamic problem that exists in our country, and all you hear is just screeching. People are flipping out. They don't want to. They won't talk about this. I want to be honest about this whole thing. I'm willing to understand. I'm willing to believe. I'm willing to tell the truth to myself and say that there are doctrines that are informing some of these people into committing heinous attacks. Just look around you. Just look at the Middle East. It happens there, and yeah, it's extremism. But there are also authoritarian governments that are Sharia based, that oppress women, that oppress gay people, that oppress anyone who diverts, anyone who is a non-Muslim is considered an enemy. It's toxic. It's a toxic idea to have, and I'm not going to be afraid to say that. And I say the same thing about any other religion that supports similar things, but that we seem to be having mostly a problem with Islam in Europe because the ideas are colliding, and they're not assimilating properly. Rather, I want a solution. I want the government to put their foots down. The governments to put their foots down, and many other people do. They want to stop seeing the memorials. They want to stop seeing the death. Thank you for listening to Free Discourse Radio. I'm Frank Davey.